Okay, so this is where my day goes sometimes when we're 12 minutes into this video and I got a phone call that knocked out my video and I couldn't be bothered editing. Easier to start again, but I did turn my phone off this time so that we don't make the same mistake. Okay, first thing we had to point out, these two displays are exactly the same color. On this video, it's not coming up exactly how it looks, but let me go a bit closer and a little bit closer. That's what I'm actually seeing with my eyes. Video translates, because of the brightness of the two at the moment, I would say that's why the video is not sort of getting it 100% accurate as far as the colors. But the colors are exactly the same, and I just can't remember in the menus how to do the brightness, but I might have a look at that in a second anyway. And funny, I thought I'll just have a little play with the brightness. And even though, I mean, now to me, they look exactly the same when I'm not on video. But as you can see, you know, it's taken that sort of greenish tinge just by changing the brightness, but it's just how the camera's picking it up. Okay, let's have a look. TS50, one of my favorite radios. We're selling this combination here, AT50, TS60, TS50. A lot of you have asked me to break it up. Look, I've got to be honest, I don't have the time to do that at the moment. We're just basically selling lineups as they sit. I've got two of these. One I'm keeping for myself, which I've owned for a very, very long time, and well, both I've owned for a very long time. This was our museum example that was sitting out in the other museum room. So let's have a look. Let's show you the superb receiver initially. So let's put about, let's not even muck around, right on 0.5 a microvolt there. Oh, sorry, there. So 0.5, and straight away, noise free. Yeah, they're fantastic receivers on these things, so very, very happy with the receive. And you'll find all the bands are very much the same. The only difference when you go to the TS60 is it gets better again. Incredible receivers on. They get down to about minus 123, 125 dBm. They're crazy, and noise free. But okay, so just a bit of an example. Hang on, I'll just show that when we put a bit of signal in. So let's put in 50 microvolts and close enough to S9. It's what you'd expect to see. Advanced intercept point, attenuator, the two together, and then back to 50 microvolts S9, just a little bit under S9 there, but nothing in it. That could actually be the calibration of my little unit. Let's have a look. Okay, what do I got to do? Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, barely touched it. Yeah, no, all good. But the thing being with these, well, thing being I should turn the noise off. Hang on. Superb receivers on them, and you can't go wrong. Transmit side, obviously we're going through the ATU here at the moment. So for the ATU, it has an auto function. So just to quickly show you that, it is going, when you go from band to band, you are changing, as I go through, sorry, 20 megs, I see one. Oh, so I was just confused then. I know what that is. Just so you know, there's a 1 meg position. I was sitting there going, what's going on? If you just want to do amateur bands only, just go like so. And then, of course, you can see that this is switching. What was happening before, in the 1 meg position, it doesn't know really where to go till I get to the next band. So if I go back to 1 meg, it's going to stay on 10 megs. It's going to go to 14 megs from anywhere up. Then when I hit 15 megs, it's going to go to 18 megs, etc., etc. So the 1 meg control, take that off, and then you've got this much faster system to run through. Okay, so real tuned. Tune is very simple on these things. They just basically touch the button, bang, it's tuned, and the AT system has a lead that you need to have for the auto function. So that's this lead here that goes through. Very uncommon lead, so don't lose it if you buy the system. And certainly, yeah, they do a fantastic job. The AT50 tuner is a bit more than a commonplace tuner. It really did actually. It could tune some nice wires and different things. It's I mean, I wouldn't put it up there with roller inductor tuners, but for an auto tuner, yeah, no, they work very well. So power out, 1 2 1 2. As you can see, loads. Hello, test 1. Hello, 1 2. Yeah, while my whistling's not going to work, we're just running 100 watts beautifully. Just a suggestion. These things run 2SC 2879s, which you can see I've got a bag of here. I would be one of the few people on the planet that own a bag of these brand new from Dick Smith. There's been a lot of people who have wanted to do like they've been doing with the TS 2000s. I've seen them come in with 160 watts coming out of them, where people have adjusted the ALC. They will do that for a while. These little fellas here, as good as they were in their day, probably better the other way around, as good as they were, there was a reason that Yaesu, ICOM, Kenwood and everybody used 2 of them to produce 100 watts. It was the headroom that it gave them to know that, you know, if someone did something a little bit stupid with them, that they had some headroom for any sort of reverse reflected power coming at them, etc. And they still blew at 100 watts when people did stupid things. So, but, you know, my point being, if you're, you know, running them hot, you know, you might be talking to me about replacement parts, which I won't be able to supply you, because by the time I'm finished, I've got some amps and bits these got to go into and be finished off, and that's it. We're out of them. Very, very hard to get those parts. Okay, so the rule of thumb, if it's working beautifully, 100 watts, be happy, and it'll work forever. Leave it at that, and just let it do its thing. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, lovely radios. Okay, features wise, really, some people complain the TS50, you know, missed some of the, you know, the wanky sort of features, but I disagree. I think for what they were meant for, you know, their attenuator worked beautifully. The AIP is quite an interesting concept that Kenwood did. You know, they came with all the basic functions that actually I think really made a radio, you know, quite incredible. A lot of people sort of converted these to CB radio, etc. Of course, that's not something that we condone here. By the same token, you know, sort of we can show people how to mod them to not do CB radio if, you know, that you do come across one that needs to be modded back. It's not a difficult mod. Unfortunately, it's not a difficult mod either way. All right, well, let me change the lead over. That's just a very quick look at the TS50. As you can see, it works incredibly well. I just want to show you the TS60, particularly the TS60 receiver side. I think you'll be impressed by. All right, so we've gone for the big hit initially. Lots of microvolts in, loads actually. If you wanted to prove a receiver worked well, at least we know it can take lots. But when we're checking a TS60, we're not interested in how we can overload the front end. We want the opposite. We want this. We want to see how it handles 0.2 of a microvolt. And have a look at this. Still a little bit of noise there, but you can still hear that tone, which means you'd hear a CW or sideband signal beautifully. At 0.2, I reckon I can even take that down to 0.1 and probably just... yeah, look, that's at 0.1, and it's just starting to get a bit noisy, to be fair. But when you consider that's, you know, near enough to 127 dBm, something like that, that's actually quite impressive. And once again, we can just run that up, and yeah, beautiful. Just, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me just get that off scorch there. Put on scorch, sorry. One of the things that Steve, probably the best 6 metre fanatic, not to mention world record holder, is our own Australian, Steve VK3OT. And Steve, I met Steve back in the 80s, no, 90s, would have been 90s. Yeah, I reckon, late 90s? Steve, you can correct me on this. Put a comment in the... anyway, it was on a roadside with a very patient girlfriend at the time, if I remember. That makes it into the 2000s, actually, Steve. So, no, we met in the 2000s. Hang on. Yeah, I because it was a girlfriend, it means it wasn't a wife, was it? Anyway, so around about 2006, actually. So there you go. Went from 80s to 90s to 2006, right? At least we're getting the facts right. Anyway, I I got to talk to Steve about 6 meters, and look, I'm interested in 6 meters. I wouldn't call myself a fanatic. I've got a 6-element opti beam up at about 75, 80 feet. And when 5110 is running and people are actually talking and not using FT8, you've got my interest. I haven't been so interested with FT8, but that's maybe just a personal thing where I like to chat away. But Steve always said to me, people are underestimating the Kenwood series radios on 6 meters. He'd had a lot of success with the, now, Steve, you might correct me, 680s or 690s. It was around, I know you had some marvellous results with some of the 6 series. In my mind, anything Kenwood with a 6 in front of it, a TS 6 in front of it that can do 6 meters, they're fantastic. They really are. They're just incredible. But let's go to sideband. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, one. Oh, yeah, loads. Holy, loads of power. Yeah, they do function very well. Now, keep in mind the tuner doesn't interact on 6 meters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. So you're not going to see any need to. Well, you can't. It's just there's no way to. Generally on 6, run a resonant antenna. There you go. But this is just a very short summary on the TS60. You could go on about it for a long time because it really, really, really does have some fantastic features about it. And the receiver being the number one point that I just think they are superb. And they really, even transmitter wise, they had good drive. They did everything they needed to do, and a bit more. So, and of course, you started to. And pardon my dust. I was just going to do something. Hang on. It was driving me mental that there was a bit of dust on the front of this radio because it's been out in the museum. I'll move that forward again. But yeah, I just wanted to clean that off because just a bit of dust. The OCD part of me couldn't take it. But when you're looking for like a combination that can really do it all, and you're a bit of a classic hunter as well, I don't think that the TS50, TS60, AT50 is for everybody. I think more, sort of these days, sure, the 6 meter fanatic, we could have sold this 10 times over for 850. Easy, no problems. Just that's been, so many people have wanted that. The TS50s, just so you know, can go for similar sort of money in the condition that's in. The tuners can go for, $500-600 because they're just getting that rare. This all comes with, genuine Kenwood mics, of course, etc. Genuine interface lead between the tuner, etc. And I tell you, they're a lovely setup. They really are. I'm just going to put a price on it now. That we're going to sell this one for $17.50 as a group of radios, which really, when you do the maths of the single items, means you're saving a few bucks. But you've got to be a Kenwood guy that says, hey, that's what I want. I want one of those Kenwood lineups. We're going to do an FT707 lineup, very similar, and it's actually in the rack and everything, and it's absolutely superb. Now that one, I might cry a little bit over that one because it is a very nice setup. But there are people out there who, really are collectors who enjoy, sort of I think the remembrance of what great equipment was made, and especially Kenwood lately, because of course Kenwood have pulled out of the country. Things are a little bit harder to access these days, and and to have nostalgic Kenwood. One of the most difficult radios for me to sell to a friend of mine, Gerald, just was a Kenwood TS 950 SDX. Now, I love that radio. I think it's a great radio. I just had, obviously too many radios lying around, and I needed some bench space in my personal shack. But that one sat in my personal shack, and once again, it's that Kenwood quality receiver that was really, sort of keeping me locked in. But so I, probably am just not able to tell you much more apart from my own personal feelings. They're a hell of a good lineup. For those of you that have shown some interest in this already, look, I'll delay putting it on eBay or wherever for a day or so, and certainly contact me. But look, generally this stuff is not making it to eBay. There's only a few things I think we've only got 2 items on there. Generally, people are ringing me and saying, I prefer messages, by the way, at the moment. Getting me on the phone is a little harder. Most people are sending me a message. I've got one client of mine. Actually, he's coming down very soon. And I got to say, he's a man of few words. Sold. There'd be a picture of the item, sold. And I got to tell you, look, I think he's bought about nearly 20 odd grand worth of stuff, but he's bought very specific collectible bits that that people really do are chasing. Here's a story. Here's one of these B&K systems. Mine's covered in dust in my own workshop because it's my workshop. Now, a mate of mine has been chasing one of these for a while, but just, not sure. And another customer actually said to me, look, I need something to tune some gear. And both customers, I sort of said to them, I said, look, for something simple and easy, if you're just going to be doing a bit of CB stuff, for the sort of money, $1,000, a little bit more, I think the client paid $1,250, something like that. You can't really go wrong because they're great bits. But what I had to do was to explain to another customer who said, well, I thought you were holding that for me. I said, mate, we're not holding anything for anybody. Look, and you never actually, you just said you were looking for a bit of test equipment. I suggested that this was possibly, one way to go. There's about 1,500 other ways to go in this place with different things we could sell you. But yeah, I just want to warn people, a lot of the time things aren't making it. If you see it on a video, don't wait for the advert to come up, because sometimes someone's already beat you to it and, give me a quick message to say, hey, look, let's do that deal. Generally, I haven't been putting prices on things. People I've been talking to, and the reason for that, I do have some volume customers who buy a lot of gear from me, and because of their quantity, and I'll always say this to people: if you're buying quantity and you are serious and not going to muck me around, you will get some really good prices. And look, generally we try to keep our prices fairly much. A lot of it's dependent on what we paid for it. Let's be realistic. If we've had to import something from the US and it's it cost us $1 million to get it here, well, we can't just write off the freight and say, well, look, it doesn't matter. Generally the price is relative to, there's some sort of costing that, we have to find the middle ground. I will say this, though, of recent times, we have sold more stuff under what we paid for it than what we've made any profit on. Been a couple of items, actually, we've done okay on, I'll be honest. But there's a lot of stuff that, honestly, we've sold way under our cost. But I'm in the volume business at the moment with a little bit of limited time with my health. So as I said, anybody comes to me with, you've got, real cash to spend, real dollars, and you want to do bulk deals, we'll do it. Absolutely. Best you come here. You're welcome. And we've actually got one client who's down in about a week's time that he'll be interesting. You know who you are. Because he just has this obsession for certain things that we've got here, which is great because, we want to obviously clear some stuff out. But it's not about the money as much as it is about who you are, how you, treat the sale. And, if you're a good home for some of this equipment, sometimes that comes into it more than the money. So please, know that. And, we want to talk to everybody that we can. But if you could just message me initially, I can then sort of fathom whether or not, one, you're serious, two, whether, we may have a better suggestion for you that I go and have a look around the shelves. But I just can't sit on the phone all day chatting away. So just be aware of that. It's not me being rude. It's just all of a sudden, ever since this diagnosis of mine, time has become important. And it sounds rude, but, I'm valuing it more than I've ever valued it in my whole life. When I'm not here, you'll understand why. So anyway. All right, TS50, TS60, AT50, power leads, microphones, connection lead between the TS50 and the AT50 supplied. 1750, give us a yell if it's of interest to you. And you can email me, brenton@posnav.com.au, or some of you can just, PM me on Facebook, etc. And we'll see what we can do for you. All the best. It's a beautiful lineup. Now I'm just playing salesman. Thanks very much for all your support. And we're boxing it up as fast as we can to get it out to you. We're averaging 10 to 12 boxes a day, so just hang in there if we're a day late getting something to you. But generally, we're in front of the 8 ball at the moment. All the best. Cheers.